Every one of these airplanes was designed to save lives. They were called foolproof. They promised to eliminate pilot error. Some even claimed to be safe enough for children, and yet, a few of them turned out to be more dangerous than the problem they were trying to solve. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. You know how we look at self-driving cars today and think, finally, technology is going to save us from our own bad driving? Well, believe it or not, the aviation world had that same exact anxiety back in the 1930s. Pilots were crashing airplanes, a lot of them, and the solution, at least on paper, seemed obvious. Don't fix the pilot, fix the airplane. Thus was born the quest for the foolproof airplane. The US government even held competitions to find a machine that cost around $700, roughly the price of a decent car at the time, and was supposedly impossible to crash. And today, I want to tell you about 5 airplanes that tried to do exactly that. We're starting with the weirdest, most brilliant failure of them all. The CIT-9, cheating physics politely. Picture this, it's 1931. You're standing at the California Institute of Technology, and Professor A.A. Merrill rolls out an airplane called the CIT-9. At first glance, it looks like a fairly normal biplane, until you notice its secret weapon against gravity. See, in a conventional airplane, if you want to slow down for landing, you pull up the nose. Pull up too far, and the wing stalls. Lift disappears. Gravity wins. Merrill decided to sidestep that whole problem. Instead of pitching the airplane, he put the wings on pivots. The pilot could rotate the wings upward to increase lift and slow down, while the fuselage stayed perfectly level. Your view forward stayed clear. No sky, no guessing where the runway was. Think of it like tilting a Venetian blind while the window itself stays still. The goal was simple: separate speed from pitch, slow flight without the stall, and honestly, it was brilliant. Unfortunately, brilliance has weight, and cost, and moving parts. To make those wings pivot safely, you needed heavy, expensive hardware. The airplane ended up overweight, over-engineered, and wildly impractical. Foolproof, it turned out, mostly meant mechanically complicated. It worked, but it was basically an aerodynamic Rube Goldberg machine. And Merrill wasn't alone. The government's Flivver competition attracted plenty of other bold ideas, which brings us to contestant number 2. The Hammond experiment, deleting the rudder. The second attempt at a foolproof airplane didn't try to outsmart physics, it tried to outsmart the pilot. This was the Steerman Hammond, later revived as the Kaiser Hammond, and the core idea was radical in its simplicity: just remove the rudder. The designers believed pilots got into trouble when they crossed their controls, using rudder and ailerons against each other, so they decided to eliminate that possibility entirely. No rudder pedals, no yaw control, just a steering wheel. To turn, you turn the wheel like a car. The vertical fins were fixed in place, and the airplane was supposed to automatically behave itself. On paper, the government loved it. In fact, the Steerman Hammond won the 1936 Flivver competition. Pilots, however, were less impressed. Flying it felt deeply wrong. Controls were sluggish, unfamiliar, and disconnected. Imagine climbing into a car where the brake pedal is gone and someone calmly says, "Don't worry, the steering wheel stops it now." Yeah, right? Yeah, are you kidding me? And then there was the price. Instead of the promised $700 People's Airplane, the Hammond cost closer to $3,000, well out of reach for the very pilots it was meant to help. You'd think that would have been the end of it. But after World War II, industrial heavyweight Henry Kaiser looked at the Hammond design and thought, with modern production, I can make this work. He revised it as the Kaiser Hammond, betting that a post-war America, flushed with optimism and highways, was finally ready for a plane that flew like a car. It wasn't. The same problems returned. The price stayed high. Real pilots still found the controls awkward and unintuitive. And once again, the foolproof airplane quietly disappeared. 2 attempts, 2 eras, same result. It turns out that removing the rudder didn't remove the danger. It removed the pilot's confidence. The Waterman Aerobile, a plane with a transmission. Enter Waldo Waterman, who looked at airplanes and said, "You know what this needs? A transmission." The Waterman Aerobile was a flying wing that was legally registered as a motorcycle. You'd land at the airport, detach the wings, supposedly in about 3 minutes if you were very optimistic, and then drive away on public roads using rear wheels. It even used standard Studebaker car parts to keep the cost down, but reality intervened. It was heavy, it was complicated, and it cost far more than a normal car or a normal airplane. Because when you try to build a vehicle that's both a car and a plane, you usually end up with a bag full of parts. Which brings us to number 4, and possibly the boldest claim of them all. The AC-35 Autogyro, so safe a child could fly it. The AC-35 Autogyro was a true transformer. It landed on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., folded its rotor blades backward, and then drove through traffic. Because it was an autogyro, it couldn't stall like a fixed-wing airplane. Its promoter, Harold Pitcairn, claimed it was so safe a child could fly it. Here's the problem. Amelia Earhart flew one. She crashed it. Twice. And reportedly, she said she'd never get in one again because she couldn't handle it. If Amelia Earhart says your airplane is unflyable, it might be time to rethink the brochure. But for our final entry, we leave government competitions entirely, because this one was built in garages. The Flying Flea, when foolproof became fatal. In the mid-1930s, French designer Henri Mignet decided that if the industry wouldn't build a people's airplane, he would. He created the HM-14 Pou du Ciel, the louse of the sky. It looked like a flying garden bench, and here's where the story comes full circle. Like the CIT-9, the Flying Flea used variable wing incidence. There were no elevators. To climb, you tilted the entire front wing upward. Mignet claimed it was the ultimate safety machine. No ailerons, no cross controls, supposedly impossible to stall. And people believed him. Thousands were built in garages across Europe, until something horrifying happened. While the design resisted stalls in normal flight, pilots discovered a deadly flaw. If you pushed the nose down aggressively, airflow over the front wing disrupted lift on the rear wing, locking the airplane into a dive. Pulling back made it worse. The controls went dead. The dive steepened. It became known as the unrecoverable dive. Fatal crashes followed. Governments grounded the entire fleet almost overnight. The foolproof airplane had finally gone too far. The lesson. That was the end of the era. We tried tilting wings. We tried highway driving airplanes. We tried removing rudder pedals entirely. Only one truly foolproof airplane ever succeeded, the Air Coupe. And it worked because it didn't try to reinvent physics. It simply used smart engineering to keep pilots from hurting themselves. So the next time you board an airplane, be thankful the wings stay put, and the pilot still has rudder pedals, because the alternative was strange, expensive, and sometimes terrifying. And that wraps up another tale from aviation's stranger side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.
Fill her up with SO Extra gasoline. The gasoline that stops cool weather stalling. Fill up with SO Extra and go!